Alright, Chapter 9, Electrical Systems, UFC 346003, November 10th, 2017. Unified Facility Criteria, Petroleum Fuel System Maintenance, approved for public lease distribution, unlimited. Alright, Chapter 9, Electrical Systems. 9.1. Electrical control systems, equipment that scope of the limitation intent with the section provide with the guidance made with electrical equipment rated up to 1,000 volts. Intent for the audience of electrical maintenance staff with electrical contractors engaged in the performance of electronic maintenance of electrical work must be completed by qualified licensed electricians equipped with personal protective equipment for the type of the work conducted with the recommended procedures not intended for the contradict electrical codes and main objective of the section are to outline procedure to maintain optimal operation conditions electrical equipment to establish system early detection of potential faults in electrical equipment in an effort to plan repair replacement before catastrophic failures occur. If the process implementation outlined procedure is determined that more extensive testing is required, such tests should be performed in accordance with the applicable codes. Due safety concerns with maintaining equipment that rated above 1,000 volts is not addressed. The equipment must maintain only with the specially trained personnel in accordance with the manufacturer recommendation. With electrical equipment, the maintenance procedure for the electrical equipment usually required enclosure of the opening inspected clean with opposed with a higher risk of injury during the normal operation. Basic rules in electrical safety should be followed. Always follow approved lockout, tagout procedures. Never work alone with the testing of electrical equipment. The second person who is in first aid, CPR, or qualified to be present. Never work on an energized equipment test of the require the energized equipment. It should be performed by specialized, trained, and licensed personnel. Use V-rated tools, V-rated gloves, V-rated tools that are rated with a tested maximum line voltage upon which will be done. Voltage-rated gloves or gloves rated with tested with a maximum line voltage upon which will be done. Use appropriately related personal protective equipment as indicated by the arc of the flash hazards warning label that is required with the National Fire Protection Association 70 E. If such label is not installed, perform arc flash hazard analysis before implementing electrical maintenance procedure to determine the appropriate personal level of the personal protective equipment. Preceding list of the non-exhaustive that does not include the contradict safety requirements mandated with the Code of Regulations. Inspection maintenance electrical equipment. Electrical control systems include deadband control, ground verification, electrical fuel shutoff valve, emergency fuel shutoff valve operation controls, motor and control, pump start stop button systems must be tested on a periodic basis to ensure proper operation functionality. Include in control system uninterruptible power supplies must be inspected and replaced as necessary frequency quarterly. Power cable. The assessment of the cable condition is performed mainly by the visual inspection based on the observation obtained with the cable that may be scheduled with the dielectrical testing. Visual inspection usually done with inspecting equipment to which the cable is connected. Moving, touching the cables must also be done with the system de-energized or locked out. Inspection for the maintenance of the power cable. Visual inspection verify that there are no sharp bends. Verify that the cable is intact, and verify that the cable is appropriately tagged out. Otherwise, identify with all the connections for the tight and not corroded. Open hold manholes, handholds, and verified non-flagged flood that they are not flooded, clogged with debris, invested with bypass annually. Alright, insulation resistant test. The testing measure for the resistant insulation resistant test during the test of the cable will disconnect both ends. The acceptable test level of 100 mega ohms of cable of 120 to 1,000 volts. With the insulation resistant testing, higher voltage than 1,000 volts is performed with a specialized testing company. As frequency is needed by basis visual inspection. Motor control. Motor control generally start with the following across the line with the motor start to reduce the voltage across the auto transformer starters, delta starters, partial winding starters, solid state starters, reversing starters, adjusting frequency driver to all motor control equipment that has the components which can be classified as overcurrent, overload protective devices, circuit breaker, fuse, electromagnetic contactor, control logic elements. Motor control element may be installed with the motor carrier center and a standalone enclosure dedicated with a single starter unless the equipment is installed with electrical rooms protected with the elements. However, the standalone enclosure is sometimes located with close proximity to the driving equipment that are exposed to the elements. In such case, special attention should be paid with the physical condition of the enclosure and the maintenance of the motor control equipment should be performed together with the maintenance of the motor. Inspection of motor controls. Verify the label is consistent with the drawing and specification semi-annually. Verify the publication of the operative with they're non-stuck. Verify there is no grease accumulation around the seating. Verify indication lights are functional in places needed semi-annually. Verify that the electrical and mechanical interlocks will operate according with the design intent with the case of the key interlocks. Ensure the number of the keys corresponding with the key interlocking intent. Have more keys than the required details. Defeats in the intent of the interlocking poses danger to the personnel with equipment. If the extra keys are found, they should be removed from the equipment and semi-annually. Inspect the enclosure for the visible sign of the corrosion interior and annually, exterior semi-annually. Open closure. Mindful, inspect rodents, reptiles, particularly where located outdoors for sign of the corrosion, dust accumulation, spiders, webs, and clean enclosure with compressed air, and apply rust inhibitors as paint is needed annually. Inspect overcurrent protective devices, power proceeding, verify that the rating is appropriate with the motor. Look for the signs attached to wire device operating overheating. Inspect with the arc chute with the contactor clean as needed with the check with the portion if they are not burned annually. Inspect the contactor for the abnormal wear with the check with the contact pitting, roughness, oxidization. Verify that the contact gap, alignment, and pressure over the R in accordance with the manufacturer recommendations annually. When the contactor is used, listen for the chatter of the contactor buzzing noise. This indicates the faulty contactor. And annually verify the relay switches with the firmly seated with the bases that there are no signs of overheating the vibration. Look for frayed, broken stands, flexible control wing, and the replacing such found annually. Perform functional tests of protective devices as they are equipped with testing equipment and special switches annually. Perform functional tests of all the manual switches. Verify the proper operation against the intended design logic. Replace the switches. Replace the if the operation is not satisfactory. Perform installation resistant of the control wiring. Note that the control wires may require substantial downtime, therefore should be only performed by case-to-case basis if there is reason for the suspect the installation of the control wiring is deteriorating, and that is required. Panel boards are used to control the power to supply the equipment and building the structure of the inspection. Panel boards conduct the following action: complete the inspection, verify that there are no physical obstruction blocking the access of the panel board, remove physical obstruction quarterly. Inspect enclosure for the surrounding air, the water damage, corrosion annually. Verify the breakers are on and off position. If they are trip breakers, investigate the case of the trip annually. Verify that these breakers scheduled with a no schedule or a schedule worn out date with the created post new one annually. Verify the breaker operation matches the description of the panel schedule annually. Observe breaker wire terminal signs of overheating and shorting circuits annually. Verify all breakers are firmly seated, locked in place with slightly shaking them annually. Verify all the ground wires are firmly connected to the ground bar annually. And if the breaker malfunction intended to leave the breaker in the open position, replace as soon as possible. The breaker cannot disconnect the circuit. Entire panel board must be switched off using the manual disconnecting means. Locked out with the breaker if repaired annually. Alright, 916 grounding system. Visual inspection and integrity of the grounding which should be performed together with visual inspection grounding equipment such as motor control centers, piping, fitter vessels, petroleum fuel tank, transformer. Typically, facilities include two types of grounding system: power grounding and static grounding. Power grounding provides a low impedance path of no for the fault current. In the case of the equipment that conducts a raceway, the static grounding provides a path of the static electricity discharge dissipate static electricity based on the equipment. Inspection maintenance of power grounding system. The connection for the grounding system must be surveyed, verified with the continuity of the connection for the suspect with the blues. Perform their further testing with some of the case for the most cost-effective to replace the suspected connection instead of performing diagnostic tests. Annually measure the voltage between the equipment of the ground conductor and the electrode ground conductor, usually bare copper. Investigate the test results above 3 volts AC in the potential ground fault. Measure voltage and chassis equipment with electrode grounding conductor. Investigate the readings of the exceed 2 volts AC. Faulty ground resistance. Check the test type of the performance of 4 lead low resistant ohm meter to digital ohm meter. Recommended values are 3 to 5 ohms. In no case should the ground resistance be higher than 25 ohms every 5 years. Inspection maintenance static grounding system. Inspect the ground reels for the corrosion. If the grounding reels are securely mounted with a rigid bay for the inspection of the clamp for the serviceability, replace the clamp with the jaw for the perform and corroded with the spring in the weak. Spring is weak with the other defects of the evident with the prevent with a good connection. Inspect the wires. Replace with 1/3 of the carbon cable. The wire is broken quarterly. The connection for the ground system must be surveyed with the verified with the continuity of the connection is suspected to be loose. Perform further testing in some occasions. If most cost-effective, replace the suspected connection instead of the performing diagnostic tests annually. Resistant measures on static ground. Measure static ground with the resistance of the new and damaged ground rods. Static ground rods resistance greater than 10,000 ohms will be removed or replaced. Static grounds mechanically will be repaired or retested when observed physically damaged. Electric motors, based on operational parameters of the classified induction squirrel cage and asynchronized motors, they are most common type of the widely used pumps and fan industrial equipment. Synchronized motors are usually relatively large, 500 horsepower above, usually with a constant speed required regardless of the torque of the shaft of the power factor needed. DC motors are type of the rare industrial application used mainly in traction and cranes and sometimes in elevators. Depending on applied voltage, motors can be low voltage low voltage less than 1,000 volts, medium voltage 2,300 to 6,000 volts. These motors are rated from 300 horsepower to 15,000 horsepower. Becoming the number of the phases of the motors in single phase, usually small motors less than 10 horsepower, often less than 3 horsepower. Three phase are most commonly used in industrial application larger than a half a horsepower. The maintenance of synchronizing and the DC motor should be performed specialized synchronizing in accordance with the written instruction of the motor manufacturer. 9171 Inspection maintenance electrical motors refer to manufacturer operation maintenance manual. Specific maintenance procedure schedule associated with the specific model of the motor. Follow all applicable general maintenance safety requirements listed in the manufacturer operation maintenance manual. Lubricate motor bearings, inspect vibration, overheating quarterly, check debris and other foreign material and fan housing. Semi-annually check the motor ground wires and ensure that they're firmly connected with the housing of the connection jacks annually. If the motor is installed with a hazardous location, verify the seal of the connection box and conduits are in contact. Annually lighting. The purpose of the lighting maintenance is to ensure the relatively constant illumination level, the lighting quality of the internal external lighting system. Most often, the lighting maintenance involves the light lamp replacement. There are two possible approaches for the regular lamp replacement. Spot relamping with a reform with the lamps or light fixtures are replaced as needed. The basis, if there's more than one lamp with a light fixture, it is recommended to replace all the lamps at the one same time and ensure the more uniform light output with the equal utilization of the lamps. Ground relamping involves simultaneously replacing all the lamps given them regardless of which of they are operational or not. Inspection and maintenance lighting. Verify operation light switch, lighting contactor, photocell timer, and appropriate the lighting contactor is used. Listen to the shattering contactor's buzzing noise indicated the vault contactor replaced required annually. With the lights turned on, observe the individual luminaries with the flickers of the lights turn on and off. The form indicative or faulty choke later indicated a faulty start. Replace faulty components as required annually. When light fixtures are located in the hazardous area, verify the seals are intact. Hazard rating in fixture is maintained annually. Thoroughly clean dust bags and debris from luminaries, light solvents, and clean agents may be used frequently annually. In dust area luminaries may require cleaning in short intervals. Relamping. When lights are turned off with the replaced lamp in order to prevent accidental turning on the lights, it is mandatory to switch off lockout with a breaker with a lighting circuit. Ensure the replacement and lamps are in the same type as those replacing. Proper operation. All the lamp fixtures or lamp replacements annually as needed or as required. Electrical equipment usually operates voltage less than 120 volts, does not have the rotating components. The result with electronic equipment tends to accumulate dust with the interfere with the cooling, overheating the most likely the failure of the electrical equipment. Inspection and maintenance. Electronic equipment inspection may be the equipment that does not have the function of the operational testing or de-energize with the lockout power source for the equipment. Inspect the outside with the equipment enclosure for the dust and evidence for the corrosion with the vacuum clean with the dust. Ensure the unobstructed air circulation annually. Open the enclosure with the vacuum clean with the dust and ensure for the unobstructed air circulation. Pay particular attention to fans, air passages. If there is evidence of the corrosion, verify that no water damage is printed on the printed circuit boards or contacts. And if the water humidity damage is observed, electronic components may not work properly. Further testing is required annually. Verify the proper operation space heaters and if one is installed annually. Check the fans in proper operation rotation annually. Look for signs of overheating the discolorization showing annually. Place air filters annually more frequently based on local environment conditions. Verify connection tightness. Lightly pull wires on solder and terminal screws. Ensure the wires are not loose annually. Verify circuit board are properly seated. The edge of the board and locking tabs are fully engaged. Do not unplug and plug connectors to verify seating. This is will wear out the pins. Unplug only if the connector malfunction is suspected. Observe wires in excessive strain, rating wear to the vibration and replacing it as required annually. Our cathodic protection systems. Cathodic protection 921. Cathodic protection must be maintained in appropriate terminal personnel with it, personnel must ensure the cathodic protection system maintained with according to the UFC 357006 operational maintenance outfit. Cathodic protection systems most stringent application applicable to host nation, federal, state, local. Regulations, cathodic protection system are installed with an underground piping system that has the bottom of the steel tanks, underground steel tanks, marine pier anchor systems. Cathodic protections are used to prevent corrosion of these systems and are specifically designed for the system if they are intended to protect. Inspection maintenance of the cathodic protection. Inspect the rectifiers in accordance with the UFC 3570 06 operation maintenance cathodic protection systems every 2 months. Inspect cathodic protection systems according to the UFC 357006 operation maintenance cathodic protection annually. 922 electrical isolation. Electrical isolation components, lighting, surge arresters installed with the underground piping system of the part complete corrosion system. Protection system. Lightning surge arresters. Lightning surge arresters are devices to protect dielectrical insulation flanges over the voltage transit when the is caused with the lighting of the AC fault currents of the arresters block AC and DC voltage up to predetermined voltage threshold. Upon the voltage exceeding the threshold, the arrestor will allow the current to safely pass around the isolation flange. Inspection maintenance of lightning surge arresters. New lightning surge arresters are designed with withstand unlimited surges of the 500,000 amperes. However, the manufacturer old surge arresters may provide maximum number of the surge events that occurred before, and it must be replaced with the arresters. Remember, the maximum number of the surge events of the spare arrestor must be kept in hand, and refer to the surge arrestor manufacturer operation maintenance manual with particular inspection instruction. Parts inspect the part of the overall cathodic protection system annually. Card and key locks 9.3. Card and proximity readers are also automated fuel service stations to activate systems. Card and key lock system issue must be listed. Called into the business system modernization energy help desk. All issues outside of the annual prevention maintenance and visits. 931 inspection maintenance card key locks. Conditional operational check over the card key lock system. Ensure that all features provided the installed system are operational annually. Alright, 9.4, lightning protection system. Lightning protection system, particularly with the design with the AFI 321065 grounding system, UFC 357501 lightning static electricity protection system. These systems include air terminals installed with the bulges for the canopy with the tail equipment. Their air terminals are connected together with a heavy gauge copper aluminum wires. The copper aluminum wires are attached to the ground loops of the ground rods installed at the base of the building canopy equipment. Inspection maintenance of the lightning protection system. Inspect the air terminals to make sure they're surely attached with the roof of the building canopy with a piece of the equipment. Check all of the connections between the air terminal, the ground loop, with the ground rods. Repair with the damaged loose connection. Perform continuity checks after the repairs are annually. Ground verification system. The ground verification system will be the performance and fuel truck rail offloading loading system. The systems are used to verify that the truck and the rail cars are grounded. In most cases, the systems are interlocked with a receipt and issue with the control to prevent the receipt and issue system from operating an acceptable ground connection between the truck and the rail car where the fuel system is not detected. Inspection maintenance for the ground verification system. Conduct operational check with the ground verification system. Ensure that all the features provided with the install of the system are operational. Inspect the plug and the corrosion weakness loose nuts. Replace it and heavily dented with the deformed quarterly. Electronic overfill protection. Overfill protection are used with the petroleum fuel truck and rail issue systems. In some cases, overfill protection switches permanently installed with the petroleum fuel and trail trucks and rail cars. Otherwise, the probe systems are applied with the trucks and rail cars at the time of the petroleum fuel issue. Overfill protections are interlocked petroleum fuel issue systems will stop the issue process with a high petroleum fuel level detected in a truck or rail car. Inspection maintenance, electronic overfill prevention system. Check with the overfill prevention system. Ensure that all the features provided with the installed system are operational frequency quarterly. Chapter 10, alternative petroleum oil liquid facilities, oil lubrication facilities.